Okay, so let's start by lying down on our backs and take a moment if you need to stretch anything, yawn, make any adjustment that allows you to more fully surrender into the floor. At some point, you might realize that there's a muscle that doesn't quite want to let go, so you can clench it and then release. You can do the same with your jaw. If you think it's not quite relaxing, you can open and close it a few times. And then when you're ready to, just soften everything and feel the sense of melting into the floor. When your body lets go, can you feel how your breath shifts so that you can relax a little bit more completely, and your breath itself is helping to soften the rest of your body? So you can work from the breath into the body, or you can work from the body into the breath. Either way, there's this two-way communication. Everything is slowing down and softening. Then pay particular attention to every part of yourself that is in contact with the floor. And imagine the floor is very gently heated, and your body is like a stick of butter. So every point in contact with this warm floor melts and spreads as a liquid into the space around you. When you visualize this sense of melting, what happens to your body? What happens to the way you're holding yourself? And what happens to the quality and sensation of your breath? And now that you've melted a little bit more into the floor, we'll start a grounding visualization. So that as you inhale, you visualize like roots would draw up water from the earth into the plant. You inhale from the floor beneath you into your body. And as you exhale, it's like you grow roots down into the floor. You inhale and draw up into your body, filling your body. And you exhale, grow roots into the ground. And you might feel that you're expelling anything through those roots that you don't need in yourself right now. Every inhale, you feel a little bit more expansive as you draw up and into the body. Every exhale, that sense of relief, of releasing from your body any tension, any weight that you don't need to be holding. As you reach the peak of the inhale, how does your body feel? How do you feel in relation to gravity? What is your shape? And as you reach the bottom of the exhale again, how does it feel in your body? What's the quality of how you feel? Now we're going to start to add a little bit of contraction with this breath. So as you inhale, you do the same thing, you draw up into the body. And as you exhale, you gently press down through your legs. So if your feet are on the floor, you press down through your feet. If your legs are out long, you press down through the backs of the legs and the heels. And then when you inhale again, you release that pressure and feel breath coming back up into the body. So as you exhale, it's kind of like you're squeezing out anything that you want to rid yourself of through your roots into the ground. And as you inhale, you release and allow fresh blood, fresh energy back into the body. And then you can start to add pressure through other points of contact. So you might do legs and shoulders. You might add the back of the head. You choose so it's not overwhelming, but you've got this sense of your body grounding more intentionally, more firmly into the floor beneath you. Doesn't need to be with all your might, just enough pressure to feel contraction through your muscles. And then that release as you allow fresh breath in. Good. Finish 1 or 2 more, depending on your pace. And when you finish that last one, take a moment to pause. If you need to drop the knees side to side or straighten out the legs or make an adjustment, just to be still again. No patterning to the breath, no visualization, just notice what you feel in your passive body. Good. And then if you haven't already, ground your feet into the floor and have your hands on your belly. So you can feel at first that your belly is soft. There's no engagement needed because your back is on the floor, your pelvis is on the floor. Your tummy can be really soft and just moving with your breath. And then imagine your feet are stuck to the floor with like a chewing gum. And you're going to start to lift the left foot away from the floor, but it's stuck down, so it doesn't actually lift. Feel what happens in your core. And then relax that left foot to the floor. You try to lift the right foot off, but it's stuck to the floor. Again, notice what you feel through your tummy, also through your back, through the back of the pelvis. And then relax that foot down. And then just like you're marching between the 2 feet, the foot doesn't actually lift, but it becomes light, like you're trying to pull it off the floor. And then you switch. You're not trying to contract anything. That's why we're using the visual of the foot being stuck down. You're just trying to do the action. And when you do that action with that intention, what is moving? Trying to get a tiny bit of shift and movement through your pelvis, through the bones of your pelvis. Trying to find that activation of your deep core. If we were to lift the legs all the way up straight away, we might get more activation of the more superficial abdominals. So here, just really not thinking about it too much and feeling what engages when you try to lift the foot up. And now imagine that chewing gum is getting a little bit softer. So you can lift your foot up maybe 3 inches away from the floor and then lower it back down. Same with the other side. It's still resistant, still sticky towards the floor. And now you might feel a little bit more shift in your pelvis. You might feel a little bit more work through your back. Good, just taking 1 or 2 more. Make sure nothing else is working, like the shoulders or the jaw. You're just trying to lift your foot away from the floor. Good. And then once you finish that one, Take a pause. Again, you might like to adjust your legs and arms, or you might just be completely still. Shake out if you need, or just grounding, melting into the floor again. Good. Okay, then we're going to have the left leg out long on the mat and your right foot grounded. You can keep your hands on your belly if you like, or you can have arms by your side. Make sure your body is completely empty at first. So you might come back to that sense of your body like a stick of butter melting in the warm floor. Particularly pay attention to this left thigh and hip. When we start to do this movement, the left leg might want to try and help. Tell that leg, that whole left side, to stay completely relaxed. You might even give it a little shake out. Make sure the muscles are soft. We're going to start to press down into the right foot. Press down just so you feel the activation through that right leg. And then keep pressing down until your right hip perhaps starts to lift. You're not trying to lift it up. All you're doing is thinking about pressing down and keeping the right knee upwards. The more you press down, perhaps the more the hip lifts. Check, is your left leg still completely relaxed? Perhaps you can feel that your spine drapes towards the left when the right hip lifts. But again, don't force this. If you have tightness anywhere through the hip or the spine, there might not be that much actual movement. And then start to slowly release the pressure in that right foot and gradually let the hip come back down to the floor. The whole time your tummy, your back is completely relaxed. You're just controlling the movement with that right foot. And once you get to the bottom again, completely empty out, feel the back of your body melt. And then again, you press down into the right foot. Keep pressing down, keep the knee pointing upwards, and potentially the hip will start to lift. Your spine might start to drape towards the left. You're not trying to make that happen. You're just pushing into the right foot and letting the rest of the body completely relax. And then once you reach the top of your movement, you start to release the pressure and gradually let the back of your pelvis come back down to the floor. Taking that moment to completely empty out at the bottom and then begin again at your own pace. Check there's no extra tension through your body. What we're trying to do here is get some passive movement through your spine, through your hip. So the only muscles that are working are in that right leg. If it feels like you do catch that left thigh starting to clench, just take a moment, maybe you shake it out, just remind it to let go, and then begin again. If you feel yourself encouraging the movement by twisting your body to the left, just again check, are you just pushing down into that right foot? Good. Finish one more. And then when you're back on the floor, take a moment to really let the back of your pelvis melt again. Check that left thigh is relaxed, right thigh is now also relaxed. This time, if you haven't already, have your arms out wide. Then start to drop your knee towards the left, so you roll onto the inner edge of your right foot. Push off that right inner foot to twist your pelvis to the left, and it becomes a twist. And then nice and slowly, you let your right hip come back down to the floor and your right knee comes upright again. Check that left thigh is still completely relaxed. And again, drop your knee to the left, push off that right foot to allow the twist. So you're just pushing off the right foot and you feel your pelvis twist to the left, your spine twist to the left. And then when you're ready to, slowly releasing that pressure, bringing the right knee back upright, feeling the back of the pelvis on the floor again. Keep going at your own pace and see if you can get the sense that you're not even doing this movement. It's like you're being moved by a gentle tide back and forth. And when you visualize it in this way, do you move differently? The point of doing these slow, repetitive actions with this kind of intention is to move away from our habitual patterns, how you have always moved, and instead find the most easeful, graceful way of moving, bringing really fine-tuned awareness into the movement so that all the different parts of your body can talk to each other and create a nice, smooth, synchronized movement. Finish just a few more. Check again, you're not clenching anywhere that doesn't need to be clenched. You're allowing that right leg to move your whole body, and you're just coming along for the journey. Finish the one that you're on. And once you're back to center, take a pause. Straighten out both legs. You're welcome to do whatever you want with your arms. Maybe you shake out your thighs for a moment, but then really land, be completely still, and just notice what you feel. Once again, back of the body melting into the floor. And now what do you feel through the muscles of your right leg, through your left side, through your spine? And then we'll do all of that on the other side. So you keep your right leg extended, your left foot comes to the floor. For this first one, we're keeping the left knee pointing upright. Make sure your right thigh and hips stay completely relaxed. Then all we do is press down directly into the left foot. The more you press down, perhaps the more the hip lifts, kind of like you're doing a bridge, but just on one side, so that the rest of your body drapes towards the left, because you don't have that second leg. And then just pausing when you get to what feels like the top. Make sure your tummy is relaxed, your right thigh is relaxed. And then gradually releasing the pressure in that left foot to guide your hip back to the floor. Once you're on the floor, check again that there's no tension in the body. You're completely melted into the floor. So from the empty point, you start again, pushing down into the left foot. And you just feel where your body wants to move to. You're not trying to twist to the right. You're simply pushing down into the left foot, keeping the knee upright, and seeing where the rest of your body naturally, organically flows to. And then you simply reverse the action, releasing the pressure in the left foot. Keep going at your own pace. And once you really feel you're into the flow of the movement, see if you can become really curious about all the sensations you feel, any sense of blockage in this movement. Maybe your muscles holding tightly. Maybe it's hard to let go of the right side. And just keep watching the internal experience of this movement. Finish the one that you're on. And then when your hip arrives on the floor again, feel the back of your pelvis spread, melt. Make sure your thighs are relaxed. And then if you haven't already, the arms will come out wide for this next one. We're going to drop the left knee over to the right hand side. Push off the inner edge of your left foot to help take the knee further over. That will twist the pelvis further over, maybe a bit of the rib cage turning over. And then you simply release the pressure in that left foot, let the hip come back, let the knee come back very gradually. Good. And then you just find your own rhythm with this, slow enough for you to be aware of every millimeter of the movement. Again, you're only driving off that left leg. The rest of your body just responds like a ripple effect. Notice if you try to force yourself further into a twist. It might feel very satisfying to drive off that left foot firmly, but don't use the rest of your body to try and twist further. You're only using that left leg. Finish the one that you're on. And then when your pelvis is back to center, you can straighten out the left leg, do whatever you want with your arms. If you want to shake out the legs just to release the thighs, do so. And then come to rest. Come to melt the back of your body into the floor again. And just notice the aliveness of your body. When we do these subtle actions, it awakens a more subtle awareness. So even though you're now just lying still, what are you aware of that's still moving, that's still buzzing in your body? Keep the weight of your legs heavy on the floor and start to slide your heels together, soles of the feet together, with your knees pointed out to the sides. You can bring your heels as close as you like towards your sitting bones, but be aware that it creates a bit more of an arch in your back. So just find an angle of your feet that isn't too much of a strain for your back. And then from here, you'll notice that your back lightly curves away from the floor, the lower back. As we exhale, we're going to roll onto the back of the pelvis and your lower back will come closer towards the floor. Your knees might slightly lift. As you inhale, roll onto the front of the sitting bones again. So you're not actively arching into your back, you're just thinking about the pelvis. And then as you exhale, roll onto the sacrum, so the back of the pelvis. Feel how your tummy engages. And as you inhale, rolling onto the sitting bones again, very gradually, feel how the belly opens. And then you just find your own rhythm with this. You exhale, roll the pelvis backwards. And you inhale, roll the pelvis forwards. So yes, your lower back is moving, but you're not thinking of pressing the lower back down and then arching it. You're just rolling on the pelvis. And similar to what we were doing with the grounding breath at the beginning, as you inhale, feel that your body opens to receive. And as you exhale, feel that you're grounding again, growing roots into the floor, particularly through the back of your sacrum. You inhale, open to receive. And you exhale, expel, push out. Notice again if anything else is working that doesn't need to be. Your shoulders stay relaxed. Even though we're pushing down on the exhale, you don't need to squeeze with all your might. You might notice that the rest of your body wants to try and help if you do that. It's firm, but not too much effort. Finish maybe 2 more. And when you finish that last one, just take a moment to completely pause. Perhaps you want to step your feet up onto the floor. Perhaps you want to straighten your legs out. Either way, take a moment. Maybe you shake out the legs or the hips and then land. Notice what you feel around your hips, around your pelvis, down into your legs. We're going to keep the right foot stepped up onto the floor again and straighten the left leg out. Bring your right hand to the back of your head like a pillow. I'll just explain first before you join. We're going to inhale and let the belly expand. As you exhale, we're going to press the lower back into the floor. And we're going to lift the head and hover the left leg away from the floor. So there's this diagonal engagement from your right shoulder across to your left hip. So we'll join together. You inhale into your belly. Exhale, press your lower back down, lift the left leg, lift the head to look forwards. Good. Keep your lower back pressing down and very slowly start to release your left leg and your head back to the floor, but keep your lower back down for as long as possible. And then eventually when the leg and the head touch down, you relax completely. Feel that it's your right arm lifting the head rather than the neck muscles. We'll go again. Inhale into your belly. Exhale, press the lower back down, lift the head, lift the left leg. Keep drawing belly button down, back into the floor, and take a few breaths to gradually lengthen back out without losing the contact of the back into the floor. And then completely empty once you're at the bottom. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale into the belly. Exhale, press the lower back down, lift the head with your right arm, lift the left leg. Good, and then slowly lower back down. Keep drawing belly in, back down. Take a few breaths to release. And then once you're at the bottom, empty out. We've got 1 more on this side, so you inhale. Exhale, press the lower back down, lift. Feel the ribs pull down at the front. Lower spine stays down as you slowly start to lengthen back out. And then release at the bottom. Take a pause. You can straighten out both legs. You can release your arms wherever they want to go. Good. And then we'll do the other side. So you bend into the left knee, have that foot on the floor. Take the left hand to the back of the head. Take a moment just to feel emptied here. Then we inhale into the belly. Exhale, press the lower back down. Lift the right leg, lift the head. Take a few breaths to release back down. So you keep pressing the lower back into the floor. Feel that your your left shoulder and your right leg are bearing weight until that last point where you release your weight into the floor. Completely relax. Good. 3 more. Inhale into the belly. Exhale, press the lower back down, scoop the head up. Keep the head heavy in your hand. And then gradually releasing back down, slowly as you can. And then emptying out at the bottom. 2 more. Exhale to scoop up. Keep pressing down through the back as you gradually release. Good. And 1 more. Exhale to come up. Keep the head heavy in your hands. Keep the lower back down. Very gradually releasing, keeping the back down. Good. And then again, do something symmetrical with your body. You might straighten the legs out. You might take your hands onto your belly or out wide. See if your breath needs to change. Now that was a bit of work for the core, so notice in the aftermath, how does your belly settle? Good. Okay, if you're not already there, plant your feet into the floor wider than your hips, and your arms can be out wide, preferably palm up. And then we're just going to really gently drop the knees side to side in windscreen wipers. Similar kind of sensation to when we did the one-legged twist. This time both legs are gently moving side to side, but your belly, your spine stays really relaxed. So your legs are driving the movement and your spine is just coming along for the journey. So in this way, we're allowing as much free movement in the spine as possible. Just allowing any sticky points to gradually release. But sometimes it takes a little bit of convincing that the spine can really let go. So you have to stay heavy on the floor. Let your body trust that it doesn't need to be fighting gravity. The only negotiation with gravity is your knees coming up. You might imagine them having puppet strings. They're being lifted and then dropped to the other side. Whatever stays in contact with the floor, again, like a stick of butter melting into the warm floor, you stay heavy and spread, deflated into the floor. Finish just a few more. Check that you're still moving as effortlessly as possible. And then the next time your knees are upright, take a pause. Even though that was gentle movement, now completely still again, how do you land? And then we'll find a shape for your final rest. So you might have your hands on your belly, by your side. Legs might be out long or feet grounded. See if there's a little shift you need to make just to make sure everything is softening. If you need to clench your fists or clench your thighs and then release it all. Listen to that impulse in your body. And you wait for that arrival into the still point. You can't force it. It's an uncovering of anything that stands in the way of that still point. So sometimes you need to be patient with it. Maybe you need to shake off some restless energy and then just find it. Where is that still point? Having moved very gently into the body today, use this period of rest to get curious about the subtleties of anything that perhaps you haven't noticed before. Really subtle sensation like a buzzing, maybe from your organs or down into your extremities that you're not normally aware of. A sense of movement, a sense of aliveness through your body. Maybe a certain rhythm or pulse. And we'll stay here just observing for the next couple of minutes, still sensing that we can melt into the floor. And starting to gradually find a little bit of movement in your body again, like you're stirring the waters. See if your breath wants to change. If there's a sigh or yawn that wants to come through. And then gradually, if you need to stretch, yawn, rub your hands on something. Maybe your knees come into your chest, or maybe you'd knock your knees side to side. And you can rock to one side, and keeping your head nice and heavy, gradually push yourself up to seated. When you find an upright position, stay with that sense of whatever is in contact with the floor, melt into the floor. So now your lower body stays nice and heavy and melting. Your hands are wherever is most comfortable for your shoulders, where it feels like your shoulders can drop. And the more your lower body melts into the floor, the more your upper body can float up to the ceiling. And then just notice from the inside out, now that you're upright, bare minimum effort to keep yourself upright. What sensations do you feel? Do you feel that you can be suspended from the ceiling and yet grounded into the floor? Do you feel a sense of spaciousness? 360 degrees? Or do you feel anywhere blocking, any resistance? Without trying to change anything, just notice what it feels like to be in your body, to negotiate gravity. Staying very aware internally, bring your palms together. Take one more inhale into the core. And as you exhale, take a little bow of the chin. And then slowly start to lift again. And gradually blink open your eyes. Namaste.